Question number 1. Can we customize the tooth library and save it for the future use?
The answer is 100% yes. And that's what I've been doing. I have 10 teeth library, which is from the second premolar to the second premolar. And technically, I have shaped it to the way I like. And then I saved it so we can simply export the design of the teeth that we're going to create in Medit Design App, and we can export it to Medit Link, or we can export it to our desktop, for example, and save it there. So we can literally drag and drop to use it for future projects.
Oh, I think everyone must be so curious about the customized tooth library. So maybe that would be so great if you can deal with it next time.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Question number 2. How do you ensure the perfect margin? Are there any clinical tips to check the real margin of the crown?
All right. So obviously, we would rely on retraction. Gingival retraction is key, because whether it's an analog, an impression, or it's a digital scan, it's the gingival retraction is the same. And it's all about soft tissue retraction. Once we prep the margin, let's say equigingival, it's so important to pack retraction cords. And my preference, I pack 2 retraction cords. The first one would give me vertical displacement, and I would typically use a smaller cord like 000. The second cord that I'll pack, which is typically larger cord, I would use a 10, and that would give me horizontal displacement for the gum. And before I get ready to scan, or before I take an impression, I remove only the top cord, the one that gave me horizontal displacement. And once I do that, I can just scan or take an impression, and this would give us not only the margin, but also would capture beyond the margin. And that is so crucial to predict the emergence profile, because we understand digital dentistry is so precise and so accurate. It's possible to get perfect fit of ceramic to tooth structure. However, we need to get not only the margin, but to capture beyond the margin in order to predict the convexity of the restoration along the gum line, which is the emergence profile. And if we do that, this would allow us to get restoration that are cleansable, not over contoured, where plaque would accumulate and would cause long-term gum inflammation. And that's the answer. And the other tip that I would give, obviously, when we export the scan to the lab, I would recommend exporting it in PLY format rather than STL format. And the difference, we know already, the PLY is like STL 3D file, but it has color. And the technician usually, they can switch the color on and off. And obviously they'll use the pink and white to distinguish between tooth and gum.
I think that was real clinical tips for everyone. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, the last one. Question number 3. Do you perform modeless crown restorations? What do you think is the key to achieving successful modeless restorations?
Well, and it is a personal preference. Myself, I haven't been doing modeless yet. However, in the future, I might change. As I said, I've been doing the hybrid workflow where I work with a model, especially working in the aesthetic zone. There are so many things we need to take it into our hands and do hand finishing and layering. And it's not only the fit. And I think the modeless to get in the aesthetic zone is limited. Always human hand finishing and the final touches is so important. However, the modeless for single tooth posterior dentistry, it has its application. And for example, the CEREC system, it is a modeless workflow. What I think, my personal preference, why I was away from the Modeless, because again, I use pressed ceramic. I don't use mold ceramic restorations. So I don't mold the ceramic. I do the press and hand layered. So technically, we need a model in order to make the contact adjustment and the the wax up and the investment and the loss wax technique. So it is an analog workflow. However, what I think, my theory, that even though we are dealing with 3D softwares and 3D tools, the screen that we are viewing our design on, it's a 2D screen. So there is always one dimension is missing, the depth is missing. And the reason why, for me, even when I design my cases or when I do orthodontic analysis, I would 3D print the initial study models and I'll hold it in hand and I'll be able to view it in hand. It would give me another, just that missing information from the screen. Now, I think in the future, what would replace that missing dimension is something like virtual reality, like Apple Vision, the and that would probably give us that missing dimension. And
Mm.
probably till then, I'll be feeling more comfortable doing it modelless 100%.
Mm. I think it's because you're doing for aesthetic zone, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
100%, yes.
This is just my personal question. So if you're doing aesthetic zone, then what kind of color do you print it for the model? Because for aesthetic area, the color and shade is very important. And if the printed model is gray color or blue color, it's hard to match the real shade. So is there any clinical tip or what's your preference of the color?
Um, the model that I've been printing is the normal stone color.
No.
And uh, because I think that's what our technicians in the lab are comfortable with, and they are used to the stone color, the light brown color. And yeah, so that's what we've been doing. The again, the planning stage, it will be all done by me. However, the color of the resin, I've been using the normal color. I didn't use any other color.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Thank you for answering all the questions for today. Yeah, that's all about it for today. So you'll be able to watch this webinar on our YouTube channel and Medit Academy once it's completed. Thank you for being here, Doctor.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye bye, Jenny. See you.